Chapters 1 through 10 of Coming Forth by Day of the Egyptian Book of the Dead by E.A. Wallis Budge. Chapter 1. Vignettes. The funeral procession to the tomb and the ceremony thereat are here depicted. The mummy of the deceased, lying in a funeral chest placed in a boat, is being drawn along by oxen. Figures of the goddesses Nephthys and Isis stand at the head and foot respectively. By the side kneels the wife of the deceased. In the front of the boat stands the Sem priest, dressed in a panther's skin, burning incense and sprinkling water, and behind follow 8 male mourners. In the rear are servants drawing a small funeral chest, surmounted by a figure of Anubis, and carrying vases of unguents, along with the couch, staff, chair, pallet, etc. of the deceased. Preceding the oxen drawing the funeral boat are men carrying on yokes, boxes of flowers, vases of unguents, etc., and a group of wailing women with uncovered heads and breasts, who smite their heads and faces in token of grief. Close by stand a cow and her calf, intended to be slaughtered for the funeral feast, and tables loaded with offerings of herbs, fruits, etc. At the door of the tomb stands the god of the dead, Anubis, clasping the mummy of the deceased, before which kneels the weeping wife. At a table of funeral offerings stand 2 priests. One, the Sem priest, wears a panther's skin and holds in his hand a libation vase and censer. The other holds in his right hand the instrument Heka, in the form of a ram-headed serpent, the head of which is surmounted by an uraeus, and in his left hand an instrument in the shape of an adze. With the former he is about to touch the mouth and eyes of the mummy, and with the latter the mouth. On the ground by their side lie the instruments which are to be employed in the ceremony of opening the mouth, that is, the ceremony which will give the deceased the power to eat and to drink and to talk in the next world, namely the mesket, the group of instruments in the form of adze, the peshen kef, the libation vases, the boxes of purification, the bandlet, the feather, etc. Behind them stands the reader, who recites the funeral service from a papyrus roll, and to the rear is a ministrant who holds the haunch of beef, which is to be used in the ceremony at the door of the tomb. Text. Here begin the chapters of Coming Forth by Day, and of the songs of praise and glorifying, and of coming forth from, and of going into the glorious Neter Kert in the beautiful Amentet, which are to be recited on the day of the burial, whereby the deceased shall go in after coming forth. Saith Osiris Ani, Osiris the scribe Ani, homage to thee, O bull of Amentet, the god Thoth, the king of eternity, is with me. I am the great god near the divine boat. I have fought for thee. I am one of the gods, those divine chiefs who make Osiris to be victorious over his enemies on the day of the weighing of words. I am thy mediator, O Osiris. I am one of the gods, born of the goddess Nut, who slay the foes of Osiris, and who hold in bondage for him the fiend Sabau. I am thy mediator, O Horus. I have fought for thee, and I have put to flight the enemy for thy name's sake. I am Thoth, who made Osiris to be victorious over his enemies on the day of the weighing of words in the great house of the Aged One, Ra, who dwelleth in Anu, Heliopolis. I am Teteti, the son of Teteti. I was begotten in Tatu. I was born in Tatu. I am with those who weep and with the women who bewail Osiris in the 2 lands of Rekht, and I make Osiris to be victorious over his enemies. Ra commanded Thoth to make Osiris victorious over his enemies, and that which was decreed for Osiris, Thoth did for me. I am with Horus on the day of the clothing of Teshtetsh, and of the opening of the wells of water for the purification of the divine being whose heart moveth not, and of the drawing the bolt of the door of the concealed things and Restau. I am with Horus, who acteth as the guardian of the left shoulder of Osiris in Sekhem Letopolis, and I go in and I come forth from among the divine flames on the day of the destruction of the Sabau fiends in Sekhem. I am with Horus on the days of the festivals of Osiris, and of the making of offerings on the 6th-day festival, and on the Tanat festival, which is celebrated in Anu. I am the Ab priest who poureth out libations in Tatu, Rear, the dweller in the temple of Osiris, Heliopolis, on the day of casting up the earth. I see the things which are concealed in Restau. I read from the book of the festival of the divine Ram, which is in Tatu. I am the Sem priest, and I perform his course. I perform the duties of the great chief of the work on the day of placing the Hennu boat of the god Seker upon its sledge. I have grasped the spade on the day of digging the ground in Sutton Henen, Heracleopolis Magna. O ye who make perfected souls to enter into the temple of Osiris, may ye cause the perfected soul of Osiris, the scribe Ani, to be victorious with you in the temple of Osiris. May he hear as ye hear, may he see as ye see, may he stand as ye stand, may he sit as ye sit therein. O ye who give cakes and ale to perfected souls in the temple of Osiris, give ye cakes and ale at the 2 seasons, that is, at morn and at eve, or sunrise and sunset, to the soul of Osiris Ani, who is victorious before all the gods of Abtu Abydos, and who is victorious with you. O ye who open the way and lay open the paths to perfected souls in the temple of Osiris, open ye the way and lay open the paths to the soul of Osiris, the scribe and steward of all the divine offerings, Ani, who is victorious with you. May he enter in confidence, and may he come forth in peace from the temple of Osiris. May he not be rejected, may he not be turned back, may he enter in as he pleaseth, may he come forth as he desireth, and may he be victorious. May the things which he commandeth be performed in the temple of Osiris. May he walk, and may he talk with you, and may he become a glorious being along with you. He hath not been found to rise up there, and the balance having weighed him is now empty. In the Turin Papyrus this chapter ends with the following lines, for which no equivalent occurs in the earlier texts. Let not the decree of judgment passed upon me be placed, or according to another reading, made known in the mouths of the multitude. May my soul lift itself up before Osiris, having been found to have been pure when on earth. May I come before thee, O Lord of the gods. May I arrive at the name of double right and truth. May I be crowned like a god endowed with life. May I give forth light like the company of the gods who dwell in heaven. May I become like one of you, lifting up my feet in the city of Ker about. May I see the Sektet boat of the sacred Sahu, Orion, passing forth over the sky. May I not be driven away from the sight of the lords of the Tuat, underworld. Or according to another reading, the company of the gods. May I smell the sweet savor of the food of the company of the gods, and may I sit down with them. May the Ker Heb, the reader, make invocation at my coffin, and may I hear the prayers which are recited when the offerings are made. May I draw nigh unto the Neshem boat, and may neither my soul nor its lord be turned back. Homage to thee, O thou who art at the head of Amentet, thou Osiris, who dwellest in the city of Nifu-ur. Grant thou that I may arrive in peace in Amentet, and that the lords of Ta-Teshetet may receive me, and may say unto me, Hail, hail, thou that comest in peace. May they prepare for me a place by the side of the chief in the presence of the divine chiefs. May Isis and Nephthys, the two divine nursing goddesses, receive me at the seasons, and may I come forth into the presence of Un Nefer, Osiris, in triumph. May I follow after Horus through Re Statet, and after Osiris in Tatu, and may I perform all the transformations according to my heart's desire in every place wheresoever my Ka double pleaseth so to do. Rubric. If this text be known by the deceased upon earth, or if he causeth it to be done in writing upon his coffin, then will he be able to come forth on any day that he pleaseth, and to enter into his habitation without being driven back. The cakes and ale and haunches of meat which are upon the altar of Ra shall be given unto him, and his homestead shall be among the fields in the Sektet Anru, and to him shall be given wheat and barley therein, and for he shall be vigorous there even as he was upon earth. Chapter 1b. Vignette. The god Anubis, jackal-headed, standing by the side of the bier on which lies the mummy. Text. The chapter of making the Sahu, the spiritual body, to enter into that Tuat, underworld, on the day of the funeral, when these words are to be said. Homage to thee, O thou that dwellest in Setsert of Amentet. Osiris, the royal scribe, Nektu Amen, victorious, knoweth thee, and he knoweth thy name. Deliver thou him from the worms which are in Rustau, which live upon the bodies of men and women, and which feed upon their blood. For Osiris, the favored one of the god of his city, the royal scribe, Nektu Amen, victorious, knoweth you, and he knoweth your names. Let this be the first bidding of Osiris Neber-cher, who keepeth hidden his body. May he give air and escape from the terrible one who dwelleth in the bight of the stream of Amentet, and may he decree the actions of him that is rising up. Let him pass on unto him whose throne is within the darkness, who giveth glory in Ristau. O Lord of light, come thou and swallow up the worms which are in Amentet. The great God who dwelleth in Tatu and who is unseen heareth his prayers, but those who are in affliction fear him as he cometh forth with the sentence of the divine block. I, Osiris, the royal scribe, Nektu Amen, have come bearing the decree of Neber-cher, and Horus hath taken possession of his throne for him. His father, the lord of those who are in the boat of Father Horus, hath ascribed praise unto him. He cometh with tidings, and may he see Anu Heliopolis. Their chief standeth upon the earth before him, and the scribes magnify him at the door of their assemblies, and they bind his swathings in Anu. He hath led captive heaven, and he hath seized the earth in his grasp. Neither the heavens nor the earth can be taken away from him, for behold, he is Ra, the firstborn of the gods. His mother suckleth him, and she giveth to him her breast in the horizon. Rubric. The words of this chapter are to be recited after the deceased is laid to rest in Amentet, whereby the region Tananet is made to be content with her lord. Then shall Osiris, the royal scribe, Nektu Amen, triumphant, come forth, and he shall embark in the boat of Ra, and his body upon its bier shall be counted with those therein, and he shall be stablished in that Tuat underworld. Chapter 2. Vignette. A man standing upright, holding a staff. Text. The chapter of coming forth by day, and of living after death. Saith Osiris Ani, victorious. Hail, one shining from the moon! Hail, one shining from the moon! Grant that this Osiris Ani may come forth among those multitudes which are outside, and let him be established as a dweller, or let him go about among the denizens of heaven, and let the underworld be opened unto him. And behold, Osiris Ani, shall come forth by day to do whatsoever he pleaseth upon the earth among the living ones. Chapter 3. Vignette. This chapter has no vignette. Text. Another chapter like unto the preceding. The chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: Hail, thou god Tem, who comest forth from the great deep, and who shinest with glory under the form of the double lion god, send out with might thy words unto those who are in thy presence, and let the chancellor in chief Nu triumphant enter into their assembly. He hath performed the decree which hath been spoken to the mariners of Ra at eventide, and the Osiris Nu triumphant liveth after he hath died, even as doth Ra day by day. As Ra is born from yesterday, even so shall the Osiris Nu be born from yesterday, and every god shall rejoice at the life of the Osiris Nu, even as they rejoice at the life of Ptah when he maketh his appearance from the great temple of the aged one which is in Anu. Chapter 4. Vignette. This chapter has no vignette. Text: the chapter of passing over the celestial road of Ristau. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, the Osiris Nu triumphant, saith: I open out a way over the watery abyss, which formeth a path between the two combatants, Horus and Set, and I have come. May the fields of Osiris be given over into my power. Chapter 5. Vignette: a seated man. Text: the chapter of not letting work be done in the underworld by Nebseni, the scribe and draftsman in the temple of Ptah, who saith: I lift up the hand of the man who is inactive. I have come from the city of Unu, Hermopolis. I am the divine soul which liveth, and I lead with me the hearts of the apes. Chapter 6. Vignette: a standing bearded male figure. Text: the chapter of making the Shabti figure to do work for a man in the underworld. The scribe Nebseni, the draftsman in the temples of the north and south, the man highly venerated in the temple of Ptah, saith: O thou Shabti figure of the scribe Nebseni, the son of the scribe Thena, victorious, and of the lady of the house Mutreshta, victorious, if I be called, or if I be adjudged to do any work whatsoever of the labors which are to be done in the underworld, behold, for thee opposition will there be set aside by a man in his turn. Let the judgment fall upon thee instead of upon me always, in the matter of sowing the fields, of filling the watercourses with water, and of bringing the sands of this east to the west. The Shabti figure answereth: Verily I am here, and will come whithersoever thou biddest me. Chapter 7. Vignette: the deceased spearing a serpent. Text: the chapter of passing over the abominable back of Apep. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Nu triumphant, saith: Hail, thou creature of wax, who leadest away victims and destroyest them, and who livest upon the weak and helpless. May I never become weak and helpless before thee. May I never suffer collapse before thee, and thy poison shall never enter into my members, for my members are as the members of the god Tem. And since thou thyself dost not suffer collapse, I shall not suffer collapse. O let not the pains of death which come upon thee enter into my members. I am the god Tem, and I am in the foremost part of Nu, the sky, and the power which protecteth me is that which is with all the gods forever. I am he whose name is hidden, and whose habitation is holy for millions of years. I am he who dwelleth therein, and I come forth along with the god Tem. I am he who shall not be condemned. I am strong, I am strong. Chapter 8. Vignette: the emblem of Amenta, towards which Ani, clad in white and holding a staff in his left hand and a bandlet in the right, is walking. Text: the chapter of passing through Amentet and coming forth by day. Saith Osiris Ani: the city of Unu, Hermopolis, is opened. My head is sealed up, O Thoth, and strong is the eye of Horus. I have delivered the eye of Horus, which shineth with splendors on the forehead of Ra, the father of the gods. I am the same Osiris, the dweller in Amentet, Osiris knoweth his day, and that he shall live through his period of life, and shall not I do likewise? I am the moon god who dwelleth among the gods. I shall not perish. Stand up therefore, O Horus, for Osiris hath reckoned thee among the gods. Chapter 9. Vignette: a ram having upon his head the Atef crown, standing upon a pylon-shaped pedestal which rests on a green reed mat. Before him is an altar, upon which stand a libation vase and a lotus flower. The scribe Ani, clothed in white, stands with both hands raised in adoration. Text: the chapter of coming forth by day after having made the passage through the tomb. Saith Osiris Ani: Hail, Soul, thou mighty one of strength! Verily, I am here, I have come, I behold thee. I have passed through the Tuat (underworld). I have seen my divine father Osiris. I have scattered the gloom of night. I am his beloved one. I have come. I have seen my divine father Osiris. I have stabbed the heart of Suti. I have performed all the ceremonies for my divine father Osiris. I have opened every way in heaven and in earth. I am the son who loveth his father Osiris. I have become a Sahu. I have become a Khu. I am furnished with what I need. Hail every god, hail every Khu. I have made a path for myself. I, Osiris, the scribe Ani, victorious. Chapter 10. Vignette: Ani, clad in white, spearing a serpent. Text: another chapter to be said by a man who cometh forth by day against his enemies in the underworld. Saith Osiris Ani: I have divided the heavens, I have cleft the horizon, I have traversed the earth, following upon his footsteps. The mighty Khu taketh possession of me and carrieth me away, because, behold, I am provided with his magical words for millions of years. I eat with my mouth, I crush my food with my jawbones. Behold, I am the god who is the lord of the Tuat (underworld). May there be given unto me, Osiris Ani, these things in perpetuity, without fail or lessening. End of chapters 1 through 10 of Coming Forth by Day. Chapters 11 through 17:1 of the Egyptian Book of the Dead by A. Wallis. Chapter 11. Vignette: this chapter is without a vignette in both the Theban and Saita recensions. Text: the chapter of a man coming forth against his enemies in the underworld. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: O thou god who eatest thine arm, I have departed from thy road. I am Ra, and have come forth from the horizon against mine enemies, and he hath granted to me that they shall not escape from me. I have made an offering, and my hand is like that of the lord of the Ureret crown. I have lifted up my feet even as the Uriai goddesses rise up. My overthrow shall not be accomplished, and as for mine enemy, he hath been given over into my power, and he shall not be delivered from me. I shall stand up like Horus, and I shall sit down like Ptah, and I shall be mighty like Thoth, and I shall be strong like Tem. I shall therefore walk with my legs, I shall speak with my mouth, I shall go round about in quest of mine enemy, and as he hath been delivered over to me, he shall not escape from me. Chapter 12. Vignette: this chapter is without a vignette in both Theban and Saita recensions. Text: the chapter of going into and of coming forth from the underworld. The Osiris Nu, triumphant, saith: Hymns of praise to thee, O Ra, thou keeper of secret gates, which are on the brow of the god Seb, by the side of the balance of Ra, wherein he lifteth up right and truth, Maat, day by day. In very truth I have burst through the earth. Grant thou unto me that I may go forward and arrive at the state of old age. Chapter 13, or 121. Vignette: this chapter is without a vignette in both the Theban and Saita recensions. Text: the chapter of entering into and of coming forth from Amentet. Osiris, the scribe Nebseni, victorious, saith: Mortals, I go in like the hawk, and I come forth like the Bennu bird, the morning star of Ra. May a path be made for me whereby I may enter into peace into the beautiful Amentet, and may I be by the lake of Horus, and may I lead the greyhounds of Horus, and may a path be made for me whereby I may enter in and adore Osiris, the Lord of life. In the Theban recension this chapter appears without a rubric, but in the Saïte recension, as given in the Turin papyrus, we have the following rubric. This chapter is to be recited over a ring made of ankum flowers, which shall be laid on the right ear of the khu, together with another ring wrapped up in a strip of byssus cloth, whereon the name of Osiris Auf Ankh victorious, born of the lady Shirt Amsu victorious, shall be done in writing on the day of sepulture. Chapter 14. Vignette. This chapter has no vignette either in the Theban or in the Saïte recension. Text. The chapter of putting an end to any shame that may be in the heart of the god, for the chief deputy of Amen, the scribe Mesemneter victorious, who saith: Hymns of praise to thee, O thou God, who makest the moment to advance, thou dweller among mysteries of every kind, thou guardian of the word which I speak. Behold, the God hath shame of me, but let my faults be washed away, and let them fall upon both hands of the God of right and truth. Do away utterly with the transgression which is in me, together with my wickedness and sinfulness, O God of right and truth. May this God be at peace with me. Do away utterly with the obstacles which are between thee and me. O thou to whom offerings are made in the divine city of Kanur, grant thou that I may bring to thee the offerings which will make peace between thee and men, whereon thou livest, and that I also may live thereon. Be thou at peace with me, and do away utterly with all the shame of me which thou hast in thy heart because of me. Chapter 15. Vignette. Ani, standing with both hands raised in adoration before Ra, hawk-headed, and seated in a boat floating upon the sky. On a platform in the bows sits the god Herupa-Krat, Harpocrates, with his right hand raised to his mouth, which he touches with one finger. The side of the boat is ornamented with feathers of Maat and with an Uchat. The handles of the oars and the tops of the rowlocks are in the form of hawks' heads, and on the blades of the oars are Uchats. Text. A hymn of praise to Ra when he riseth upon the horizon, and when he setteth in the land of life. Osiris the scribe Ani saith: Homage to thee, O Ra, when thou risest as Tem Herukuti, Tem Hamarcus. Thou art adored by me when thy beauties are before mine eyes, and when thy radiance falleth upon my body. Thou goest forth to thy setting in the Sektet boat with fair winds, and thy heart is glad. The heart of the Matet boat rejoiceth. Thou stridest over the heavens in peace, and all thy foes are cast down. The never-resting stars sing hymns of praise unto thee, and the stars which rest, and the stars which never fail, glorify thee as thou sinkest to rest in the horizon of Manu. O thou who art beautiful at morn and at eve, O thou Lord who livest and art established, O my Lord. Homage to thee, O thou who art Ra when thou risest, and Tem when thou settest in beauty. Thou risest and shinest on the back of thy mother Nut, O thou who art crowned king of the gods. Nut doeth homage unto thee, and everlasting and never-changing order embraceth thee at morn and at eve. Thou stridest over the heaven, being glad of heart, and the lake of Testes is content thereat. The Sabal fiend hath fallen to the ground, his arms and his hands have been hacked off, and the knife hath severed the joints of his body. Ra hath a fair wind, the Sektet boat goeth forth, and sailing along it cometh into port. The gods of the south and of the north, of the west and of the east, praise thee, O thou divine substance, from whom all forms of life come into being. Thou sendest forth the word, and the earth is flooded with silence. O thou only one, who didst dwell in heaven before ever the earth and the mountains came into existence. O runner, O Lord, O only one, thou maker of things which are, thou hast fashioned the tongue of the company of the gods, thou hast produced whatsoever cometh forth from the waters, and thou springest up from them over the flooded land of the lake of Horus. Let me snuff the air which cometh forth from thy nostrils, and the north wind which cometh forth from thy mother nut. O make thou to be glorious my shining form, Khu. O Osiris, make thou to be divine my soul, Ba. Thou art worshipped in peace, or in setting, O Lord of the gods, thou art exalted by reason of thy wondrous works. Shine thou with thy rays of light upon my body day by day. Upon me, Osiris the scribe, the teller of the divine offerings of all the gods, the overseer of the granary of the lords of Abtu, Abydos, the royal scribe in truth who loveth thee, Ani, victorious in peace. Chapter 15. Hymn and Litany to Osiris. Vignette: Osiris Ani, the royal scribe in truth who loveth Ra, the scribe and teller of the divine offerings of all the gods, and Osiris Thuthu, the lady of the house, the singing woman of Amen, standing in adoration before the god Osiris, who, accompanied by the goddess Isis, stands in a shrine made in the form of a funeral chest. Text: Praise be unto thee, O Osiris, Lord of eternity, Unnefer, Heru Khuti, Harmachis, whose forms are manifold and whose attributes are majestic. Ptah Seker Tem, in Annu, Heliopolis, the lord of the hidden place, and the creator of Het Ka Ptah, Memphis, and of the gods therein, the guide of the underworld, whom the gods glorify when thou settest in Nut. Isis embraceth thee in peace, and she driveth away the fiends from the mouth of thy paths. Thou turnest thy face upon Amentet, and thou makest the earth to shine as with refined copper. Those who have lain down, the dead, rise up to see thee. They breathe the air, and they look upon thy face when the disk riseth on its horizon. Their hearts are at peace, inasmuch as they behold thee, O thou who art eternity and everlastingness. Litany. Homage to thee, O Lord of starry deities in Annu, and of heavenly beings in Kher Aba, thou god Unti, who art more glorious than the gods who are hidden in Annu. O grant thou unto me a path whereon I may pass in peace, for I am just and true. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. Homage to thee, O An in Antis, Heru Khuti, Harmachis, with long strides thou stridest over heaven. O Heru Khuti, O grant thou unto me a path whereon I may pass in peace, for I am just and true. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. Homage to thee, O soul of everlastingness, thou soul who dwellest in Tatu, Unnefer, son of Nut, thou art lord of Akert. O grant thou unto me a path wherein I may pass in peace, for I am just and true. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. Homage to thee in thy dominion over Tatu. The Ureret crown is established upon thy head. Thou art the one who maketh the strength which protecteth himself, and thou dwellest in peace in Tatu. O grant thou unto me a path whereon I may pass in peace, for I am just and true. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. Homage to thee, O Lord of the acacia tree. The Seker boat is set upon its sledge. Thou turnest back the fiend, the worker of evil, and thou causest the Utchat to rest upon its seat. O grant thou unto me a path whereon I may pass in peace, for I am just and true. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. Homage to thee, O thou who art mighty in thine hour, thou great and mighty prince, dweller in Anrutfa, Lord of eternity and creator of everlastingness. Thou art the Lord of Suten Behenin, Heracleopolis Magna. O grant thou unto me a path whereon I may pass in peace, for I am just and true. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. Homage to thee, O thou who restest upon right and truth. Thou art the Lord of Abtu, Abydos, and thy limbs are joined unto Ta Tuchet Sertet. Thou art he to whom fraud and guile are hateful. O grant thou unto me a path whereon I may pass in peace, for I am just and true. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. Homage to thee, O thou who art within thy boat. Thou bringest Hapi the Nile forth from his source. The light shineth upon thy body, and thou art the dweller in Nekhen. O grant thou unto me a path whereon I may pass in peace, for I am just and true. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. Homage to thee, O creator of the gods, thou king of the north and of the south. O Osiris, victorious one, ruler of the world in thy gracious seasons, thou art the lord of the celestial world. O grant thou unto me a path whereon I may pass in peace, for I am just and true. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. Hymn to Ra. Text: a hymn of praise to Ra when he riseth in the eastern part of heaven. Those who are in his train rejoice, and lo, Osiris Ani, victorious, saith: Hail, thou disk, thou lord of rays, who risest on the horizon day by day. Shine thou with thy beams of light upon the face of Osiris Ani, who is victorious. For he singeth hymns of praise unto thee at dawn, and he maketh thee to set at eventide with words of adoration. May the soul of Osiris Ani, the triumphant one, come forth with thee into heaven. May he go forth in the Matet boat. May he come into port in the Sektet boat, and may he cleave his path among the never-resting stars in the heavens. Osiris Ani, being in peace and in triumph, adoreth his Lord, the Lord of eternity, saying: Homage to thee, O Hero Khuti, Harmachis, who art the god Khepera, the self-created. When thou risest on the horizon, and sheddest thy beams of light upon the lands of the north and of the south, thou art beautiful, yea, beautiful. And all the gods rejoice when they behold thee, the King of heaven. The goddess Nebt Unut is stablished upon thy head, and her uraei of the south and of the north are upon thy brow. She taketh up her place before thee. The god Thoth is stablished in the bows of thy boat, to destroy utterly all thy foes. Those who are in the Tuat underworld come forth to meet thee, and they bow in homage as they come towards thee to behold thy beautiful image. And I have come before thee that I may be with thee to behold thy disk every day. May I not be shut up in the tomb, may I not be turned back, may the limbs of my body be made new again when I view thy beauties, even as are those of all thy favored ones, because I am one of those who worshipped thee whilst I lived upon earth. May I come in unto the land of eternity, may I come even unto the everlasting land, for behold, O my Lord, this hast thou ordained for me. And lo, Osiris Ani, triumphant in peace, the triumphant one, saith: Homage to thee, O thou who risest in thy horizon as Ra. Thou reposest upon law which changeth not, nor can it be altered. Thou passest over the sky, and every face watcheth thee and thy course, for thou hast been hidden from their gaze. Thou dost show thyself at dawn, at eventide day by day. The Sektet boat wherein is thy majesty goeth forth with might. Thy beams shine upon all faces. The number of thy red and yellow rays cannot be known, nor can thy bright beams be told. The lands of the gods and the eastern lands of Punt must be seen, ere that which is hidden in thee may be measured. Alone and by thyself thou dost manifest thyself, when thou comest into being above Nu, the sky. May Ani advance even as thou dost advance. May he never cease to go forward, even as thy majesty ceaseth not to go forward, even though it be for a moment. For with strides dost thou in one little moment pass over the spaces which would need hundreds of thousands and millions of years for man to pass over. This thou doest, and then dost thou sink to rest. Thou puttest an end to the hours of the night, and let us count them, even thou endest them in thine own appointed season, and the earth becometh light. Thou settest thyself before thy handiwork in the likeness of Ra. Thou risest in the horizon. Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant, declareth his praise of thee when thou shinest, and when thou risest at dawn he crieth in his joy at thy birth. Thou art crowned with the majesty of thy beauties, thou mouldest thy limbs as thou dost advance, and thou bringest them forth without birth pangs in the form of Ra, as thou dost rise up into the upper air. Grant thou that I may come unto the heaven which is everlasting, and unto the mountain where dwell thy favoured ones. May I be joined unto those shining beings, holy and perfect, who are in the underworld, and may I come forth with them to behold thy beauties when thou shinest at eventide, and goest to thy mother Nu. Thou dost place thyself in the west, and my two hands are raised in adoration of thee, when thou settest as a living being. Behold, thou art the maker of eternity, and thou art adored when thou settest in the heavens. I have given my heart unto thee without wavering, O thou who art mightier than the gods. Osiris Ani, triumphant, saith, a hymn of praise to thee, O thou who risest like unto gold, and who dost flood the world with light on the day of thy birth. Thy mother giveth thee birth upon her hand, and thou dost give light unto the course of the disk. O thou great light, who shinest in the heavens, thou dost strengthen the generations of men with the Nile flood, and thou dost cause gladness in all lands, and in all cities, and in all the temples. Thou art glorious by reason of thy splendours, and thou makest strong thy Ka double with Hu and Chechphau foods. O thou who art the mighty one of victories, thou who art the power of all powers, who dost make strong thy throne against evil fiends, who art glorious in majesty in the Sektet boat, and who art exceeding mighty in the Atet boat, make thou glorious Osiris Ani with victory in the underworld. Grant thou that in the netherworld he may be without evil. I pray thee to put away his faults behind thee. Grant thou that he may be one of thy venerable servants, who are with the shining ones. May he be joined unto the souls which are in Ta Tsertet, and may he journey into the Sekhet Aru by a prosperous and happy decree. He, the Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant, and the god saith, thou shalt come forth into heaven, thou shalt pass over the sky, thou shalt be joined into the starry deities. Praises shall be offered unto thee in thy boat, thou shalt be hymned in the Atet boat, thou shalt behold Ra within his shrine, thou shalt set together with his disk day by day, thou shalt see the Ant fish when it springeth into being in the waters of turquoise, and thou shalt see the Abtu fish in his hour. It shall come to pass that the evil one shall fall when he layeth a snare to destroy thee, and the joints of his neck and of his back shall be hacked asunder. Ra saileth with the fair wind, and the Sektet boat draweth on and cometh into port. The mariners of Ra rejoice, and the heart of Nebt Ankh is glad, for the enemy of her lord hath fallen to the ground. Thou shalt behold Horus on the standing place of the pilot of the boat, and Thoth and Maat shall stand one upon each side of him. All the gods shall rejoice when they behold Ra coming in peace, to make the hearts of the shining ones to live, and Osiris Ani, victorious, the scribe of the divine offerings of the lords of Thebes, shall be along with them. A hymn to the setting sun. Vignette in this papyrus. This chapter is without a vignette. Text: another chapter of the mystery of the Tuat underworld, and of passing through the unseen netherworld, and of seeing the disk when he setteth in Amentet, when he is adored by the gods and by the Khus in the underworld, and when the soul which dwelleth in Ra is made perfect. He is made mighty before Tem, he is made great before Osiris, he setteth his terror before the company of the gods who are the guides of the netherworld. He maketh long his steps, and he maketh his face to enter with that of the great god. Now every Khu for whom these words shall have been said shall come forth by day in any form which he is pleased to take. He shall gain power among the gods of the Tuat underworld, and they shall recognize him as one of themselves, and he shall enter in at the hidden gate with power. The lady Mut Hetep, victorious, singeth hymns of praise to thee, saying, O Ra Tem, in thy splendid progress thou risest, and thou settest as a living being in the glories of the western horizon. Thou settest in thy territory which is in Manu. Thy uraeus is behind thee, thy uraeus is behind thee. Homage to thee, O thou who art in peace, homage to thee, O thou who art in peace. Thou art joined unto the Eye of Tem, and it chooseth its powers of protection to place behind thy members. Thou goest forth through heaven, thou travellest over the earth, and thou journeyest onward. O luminary, the northern and southern halves of heaven come to thee, and they bow low in adoration, and they pay homage unto thee day by day. The gods of Amentet rejoice in thy beauties, and the unseen places sing hymns of praise unto thee. Those who dwell in the Sektet boat go round about thee, and the souls of the east pay homage to thee, and when they meet thy majesty they cry, Come, come in peace. There is a shout of welcome to thee, O Lord of heaven and governor of Amentet. Thou art acknowledged by Isis, who seeth her son in thee, the Lord of fear, the mighty one of terror. Thou settest as a living being in the hidden place. Thy father Ta Tunen raiseth thee up, and he placeth both his hands behind thee. Thou becomest endowed with divine attributes in thy members of earth. Thou wakest in peace, and thou settest in Manu. Grant thou that I may become a being honoured before Osiris, and that I may come to thee, O Ra Tem. I have adored thee, therefore do thou for me that which I wish. Grant thou that I may be victorious in the presence of the company of the gods. Thou art beautiful, O Ra, in thy western horizon of Amentet, thou Lord of Maat, thou mighty one of fear, thou whose attributes are majestic, O thou who art greatly beloved by those who dwell in the Tuat underworld. Thou shinest with thy beams upon the beings that are therein perpetually, and thou sendest forth thy light upon the path of Re Stau. Thou openest up the path of the double lion god. Thou settest the gods upon their thrones, and the Khus in their abiding places. The heart of Ne'aruf is glad when Ra setteth. The heart of Ne'aruf is glad when Ra setteth. Hail, O ye gods of the land of Amentet, who make offerings and oblations unto Ra Tem. Ascribe ye glory unto him when ye meet him. Grasp ye your weapons, and overthrow ye the fiend Seba on behalf of Ra, and repulse the fiend Nebit on behalf of Osiris. The gods of the land of Amentet rejoice and lay hold upon the cords of the Sektet boat, and they come in peace. The gods of the hidden place who dwell in Amentet triumph. Hail, Thoth, who didst make Osiris to triumph over his enemies, make thou Mut Hetep victorious, to triumph over her enemies in the presence of the great divine sovereign chiefs who live with Osiris, the Lord of life. The great god who dwelleth in his disk cometh forth, that is Horus, the avenger of his father Unefer Ra. Osiris setteth, and the Khus who are in the Tuat underworld say, Homage to thee, O thou who comest as Tem, and who comest into being as the creator of the gods. Homage to thee, O thou who comest as the holy soul of souls, who dwellest in the horizon. Homage to thee, who art more glorious than all the gods, and who illuminest the Tuat with thine eye. Homage to thee, who sailest in thy glory, and who goest round about in thy disk. 2. The following variant of the above hymn is translated from the text in the papyrus of Nektu Amen. Another chapter of the mystery of the Tuat underworld, and of travelling the unseen places of the underworld, of seeing the disk when he setteth in Amentet, when he is adored by the gods and by the Khus of the Tuat underworld, and when the divine Khu which dwelleth within Ra is made perfect. He setteth his might before Ra, he setteth his power before Tem, he setteth his strength before Khente Amentet, and he setteth his terror before the company of the gods. The Osiris of the gods goeth as leader through the Tuat underworld. He crasheth through mountains, he bursteth through rocks, he maketh glad the heart of every Khu. This composition shall be recited by the deceased when he cometh forth, and when he goeth in with the gods, among whom he findeth no opposition. Then shall he come forth by day in all the manifold, and exceedingly numerous forms which he may be pleased to take. The Osiris saith: A hymn of praise to Ra at eventide, when he setteth as a living being in Ba'aka. The great god who dwelleth in his disk riseth in his two eyes, and all the Khus of the underworld receive him in his horizon of Amentet. They shout praises unto Heru Khuti Harmachis in his form of Tem, and they sing hymns of joy to Ra when they have received him at the head of his beautiful path of Amentat. He, the deceased, saith: Praise be unto thee, O Ra, praise be unto thee, O Tem, in thy splendid progress. Thou hast risen, and thou hast put on strength, and thou settest like a living being amid thy glories in the horizon of Amentet, in thy domain which is in Manu. Thy uraeus goddess is behind thee, thy uraeus goddess is behind thee. Hail to thee in peace, hail to thee in peace. Thou joinest thyself unto the eye of Horus, and thou hidest thyself within its secret place. It destroyeth for thee all the convulsions of thy face. It maketh thee strong with life, and thou livest. It bindeth its protecting amulets behind thy members. Thou sailest forth over heaven, and thou makest the earth to be stablished. Thou joinest thyself unto the upper heaven, O luminary. The two regions of the east and west make adoration unto thee, bowing low and paying homage unto thee, and they praise thee day by day. The gods of Amentet rejoice in thy splendid beauties. The hidden places adore thee. The aged ones make offerings unto thee, and they create for thee protecting powers. The divine beings who dwell in the eastern and western horizons transport thee, and those who are in the Sektet boat convey thee round and about. The souls of Amentet cry out unto thee, and say unto thee when they meet thy majesty: Life, health, strength. All hail, all hail. When thou comest forth in peace, there arise shouts of delight to thee, O thou Lord of heaven, thou Prince of Amentet. Thy mother Isis embraceth thee, and in thee she recognizeth her son, the Lord of fear, the mighty one of terror. Thou settest as a living being within the dark portal. Thy father Tatunen lifteth thee up, and he stretcheth out his two hands behind thee. Thou becomest a divine being in the earth. Thou wakest as thou settest, and thy habitation is in Manu. Grant thou that I may be venerated before Osiris, and come thou to me, O Ra Tem. Since thou hast been adored by me, that which I wish thou shalt do for me day by day. Grant thou victory unto me before the great company of the gods, O Ra, who art doubly beautiful in thy horizon of Amentet, thou Lord of Maat, who dwellest in the horizon. The fear of thee is great, thy forms are majestic, and the love of thee is great among those who dwell in the underworld. A hymn to the setting sun. Vignette: the deceased and his wife standing with both hands raised in adoration before a table of offerings, upon which are a libation vase and lotus flowers. Text: a hymn of praise to Ra Heru Khuti Ra Harmachis when he setteth in the western part of heaven. He, the deceased, saith: Homage to thee, O Ra, who in thy setting art Tem Heru Khuti Tem Harmachis, thou divine god, thou self-created being, thou primeval matter from which all things were made. When thou appearest in the boughs of thy bark, men shout for joy at thee, O maker of the gods. Thou didst stretch out the heavens, wherein the two eyes might travel. Thou didst make the earth to be a vast chamber for thy Khus, so that every man might know his fellow. The Sektet boat is glad, and the Matet boat rejoiceth, and they greet thee with exultation as thou journeyest along. The god Nu is content, and thy mariners are satisfied. The uraeus goddess hath overthrown thine enemies, and thou hast carried off the legs of Apet. Thou art beautiful, O Ra, each day, and thy mother Nut embraceth thee. Thou settest in beauty, and thy heart is glad in the horizon of Manu, and the holy beings therein rejoice. Thou shinest there with thy beams, O thou great god Osiris, the everlasting prince. The lords of the zones of the Tuat in their caverns stretch out their hands in adoration before thy ka double, and they cry out to thee, and they all come forth in the train of thy form, shining brilliantly. The hearts of the lords of the Tuat are glad when thou sendest forth thy glorious light in Amentet. Their two eyes are directed towards thee, and they press forward to see thee, and their hearts rejoice when they do see thee. Thou hearkenest unto the acclamations of those that are in the funeral chest. Thou doest away with their helplessness, and drivest away the evils which are about them. Thou givest breath to their nostrils, and they take hold of the boughs of thy bark in the horizon of Manu. Thou art beautiful each day, O Ra, and may thy mother Nut embrace Osiris victorious. Chapter 16. The scene of which Lepsius inadvertently gave the number 16, and which he regarded as a chapter of the Book of the Dead, is, strictly speaking, only a vignette intended to accompany the hymn to the rising sun that forms part of the introductory matter of the chapters of the Book of the Dead, which we find in some of the oldest papyri of the Theban period. In the papyrus of Ani we see the sun's disk supported by a pair of arms which emerge from the sign of life. This, in its turn, is supported by the pillar which symbolizes the tree trunk which contained the dead body of Osiris. This pillar rests upon the horizon. On each side of it are 3 apes, typical of the spirits of the dawn, adoring the disk. On the right is the goddess Nephthys, and on the left is the goddess Isis. Nephthys kneels upon the symbol of the sunset, and Isis upon the symbol of the dawn. Above the whole scene is the vaulted sky. In the papyrus of Hu Nefer, the pillar is endowed with human arms and hands, which grasp the crook and flail, emblematic of Osiris' reign and rule, and the 2 goddesses are standing upright. One says, "I am thy sister Nephthys," and the other, "I am thy sister Isis, the divine mother." The sun is typified by a hawk having a disk encircled by an uraeus upon his head. The apes are here 7 in number, 4 stand in front and 3 behind. Above the whole scene is the vaulted sky. Certain papyri have also vignettes which illustrate the hymns to the setting sun. In this case the hawk usually stands upon the emblem of the west, while apes and gods adore him. In the papyrus of Kenna, on the right, 3 hawk-headed gods kneel in adoration with their left arms raised, and on the left 3 jackal-headed gods with their right arms raised in adoration. Below, 2 lion-headed gods with discs on their heads are seated back to back in a cluster of lotus flowers. These typify dawn and eventide. The goddess Isis kneels in adoration before the lion of the dawn, and the goddess Nephthys before the lion of eventide. Chapter 17. Vignette: Ani and his wife seated in a hall. He is moving a piece on a draught board. 2. The souls of Ani and his wife, in the form of human-headed hawks, standing upon a pylon-shaped building. The bearded soul is described as the soul of Osiris. 3. A table of offerings, upon which are lotus flowers, a libation vase, etc. 4. 2 lions seated back to back and supporting the horizon with the sun's disk, over which extends the sky. The lion on the right is called Seth, yesterday, and that on the left Tau, tomorrow. 5. The Bennu bird and a table of offerings. 6. The mummy of Ani on a bier within a funeral shrine. At the head and foot are Nephthys and Isis in the form of hawks. Beneath the bier are Ani's palette, variegated marble or glass vessels, etc. Plate 8.1. The god of million of years. On his head and in his right hand is the emblem of years. His left hand is stretched out over a pool containing the eye of Horus. 2. The god Uchat Ura, great green water, with each hand extended over a pool. That under his right hand is called Lake of Natron, and that under his left hand, Lake of Nitra. 3. A pylon with doors called Re Stau, the gate of the passages of the tomb. 4. The Uchat facing to the left above a pylon. 5. The cow Me'ert, the eye of Ra, with disc and horns, collar and manat and whip. 6. A funeral chest, from which emerged the head of Ra and his 2 arms and hands, each holding the emblem of light. The chest, which is called the district of Abtu, Abydos, or the burial place of the east, has upon its sides figures of the 4 children of Horus, who protect the intestines of Osiris or the deceased. On the right stand Tu Amontef and Kebhesenoth, and on the left Meshtha and Hapi. Plate 9.1. Figures of three gods who together with Mestha, Hapi, Tuamalteth, and Quebhesenoth are the 7 Khus referred to in line 99 of the text. Their names are Me'atefa, Keribekfa, and Heru Kenti an Ma'ati or Merti. 2. The god Ampu, Anubis, jackal-headed. 3. Figures of 7 gods whose names are Netchet, Netchet, Eaketket, Kenti He, Ami, Unnut F, Tesher, Mea Bes, Mea M Ker, and An M Hru. 4. The soul of Ra, in the form of a hawk with a disk on his head, conversing in Tatu with the soul of Osiris in the form of a human-headed bird wearing the white crown. This scene is of the rarest occurrence. Plate 10.1. The cat, emblematic of the sun, cutting off the head of the serpent Apep or Apepi, typical of darkness. 2. 3 seated deities, each holding a knife. 3. Ani and his wife Thuthu, kneeling in adoration before the god Khepera, beetle-headed, who is seated in the boat of the rising sun. 4. 2 apes, emblematic of the goddesses Isis and Nephthys. 5. The god Tem, seated with the sun disk in the boat of the setting sun. 6. The god Rehu, in the form of a lion. 7. The serpent Uachet, the lady of flame, a symbol of the eye of Ra coiled round a lotus flower. Above is the emblem of fire. End of chapters 11 through 17.1. Chapter 17. Text. Here begin the praises and glorifyings of coming out from and of going into the glorious underworld, which is in the beautiful Amentet, of coming out by day in all the forms of existence which please him, the deceased, of playing at draughts and sitting in the hall, and of coming forth as a living soul. Saith Osiris, the scribe Ani, after he hath come to his haven of rest, it is good for a man to recite this work whilst he is upon earth, for then all the words of Tem come to pass. I am the god Tem in rising, I am the only one. I came into existence in Nu. I am Ra, who rose in the beginning, the ruler of this. Who then is this? It is Ra, when at the beginning he rose in the city of Sutton Henan, Heracleopolis Magna, crowned like a king in his rising. The pillars of the god Shu were not as yet created, when he was upon the high ground of him that dwelleth in Kemenu, Hermopolis Magna. I am the great god who gave birth to himself, even Nu, who made his names to become the company of the gods as God. Who then is this? It is Ra, the creator of the names of his limbs, which came into being in the form of the gods who are in the train of Ra. I am he who is not driven back among the gods. Who then is this? It is Tem, the dweller in his disk, or as others say, it is Ra in his rising in the eastern horizon of heaven. I am yesterday, I know tomorrow. Who then is this? Yesterday is Osiris, and tomorrow is Ra, on the day when he shall destroy the enemies of Neber-Chur, and when he shall establish as prince and ruler his son Horus, or as others say, on the day when we commemorate the festival of the meeting of the dead Osiris with his father Ra, and when the battle of the gods was fought, in which Osiris, the lord of Amentet, was the leader. What then is this? It is Amentet, that is to say, the creation of the souls of the gods, when Osiris was leader in Set Amentet, or as others say, it is Amentet which Ra hath given unto me. When any god cometh, he doth arise and doeth battle for it. I know the god who dwelleth therein. Who then is this? It is Osiris, or as others say, Ra is his name, or it is the phallus of Ra, wherewith he was united to himself. I am the Bennu bird, which is in Anu Heliopolis, and I am the keeper of the volume of the book of things which are and of things which shall be. Who then is this? It is Osiris, or as others say, it is his dead body, or as others say, it is his filth. The things which are and the things which shall be are his dead body, or as others say, They are eternity and everlastingness. Eternity is the day, and everlastingness is the night. I am the god Amsu in his coming forth. May his 2 plumes be set upon my head for me. Who then is this? Amsu is Horus, the avenger of his father, and his coming forth is his birth. The plumes upon his head are Isis and Nephthys when they go forth to set themselves there, even as his protectors, and they provide that which his head lacketh, or as others say, they are the 2 exceeding great uraei which are upon the head of their father Tem, or as others say, his 2 eyes are the 2 plumes which are upon his head. Osiris Ani, the scribe of all the holy offerings, riseth up in his place in triumph. He cometh into his city. What then is this? It is the horizon of his father Tem. I have made an end of my shortcomings, and I have put away my faults. What then is this? It is the cutting off of the corruptible in the body of Osiris, the scribe Ani, victorious before all the gods, and all his faults are driven out. What then is this? It is the purification of Osiris on the day of his birth. I am purified in my great double nest, which is in Sutenhenen, Heracleopolis Magna, on the day of the offerings of the followers of the great god who is therein. What then is this? Millions of years is the name of the one nest. Great green lake is the name of the other. A pool of natron and a pool of nitre, or as others say, the traverser of millions of years is the name of one. Great green lake is the name of the other, or as others say, the begetter of millions of years is the name of one. Great green lake is the name of the other. Now as concerning the great god who dwelleth therein, it is Ra himself. I pass over the way. I know the head of the pool of Maat. What then is this? It is Re Stau, that is to say, it is the underworld on the south of Ne'arutef, and it is the northern door of the tomb. Now as concerning the pool of Maat, it is Abtu Abydos, or as others say, it is the boat by which his father Tem travelleth when he goeth forth to Sekhet Aru, which he bringeth forth the food and nourishment of the gods who are behind their shrines. Now the gate of Tchesert is the gate of the pillars of Shu, the northern gate of the Tuat underworld, or as others say, it is the 2 leaves of the door through which the god Tem passeth when he goeth forth to the eastern horizon of heaven. O ye gods who are in the presence of Osiris, grant me your arms, for I am the god who shall come into being among you. Who then are these? They are the drops of blood which came forth from the phallus of Ra when he went forth to perform mutilation upon himself. They sprang into being as the gods Hu and Sa, who are in the following of Ra, and who accompany the god Tem daily and every day. I, Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant, have filled for thee the Utchat after it had suffered failure on the day of the combat of the 2 fighters, Horus and Set. What then is this? It is the day on which Horus fought with Set, who cast filth in the face of Horus, and when Horus destroyed the members of Set. Now this Thoth did with his own fingers. I lift up the hair cloud when there are storms and quakings in the sky. What then is this? It is the right eye of Ra, which raged against Set when he sent it forth. Thoth raised up the hair cloud and brought the eye alive and whole and sound and without defect to its lord, or as others say, it is the eye of Ra when it is sick and when it weepeth for its fellow eye. Then Thoth standeth up to cleanse it. I behold Ra, who was born yesterday from the buttocks of the goddess Me'ert. His strength is my strength, and my strength is his strength. What then is this? It is the watery abyss of heaven, or as others say, it is the image of the eye of Ra in the morning at his daily birth. Me'ert is the eye Utchat of Ra. Therefore Osiris, the scribe Ani, triumphant, is a great one among the gods who are in the train of Horus. The words are spoken for him that loveth his lord. What then is this? The gods who are in the train of Horus are Mestha, Hapi, Tu Amartef, and Qeb Senuf. Homage to you, O ye lords of right and truth, ye sovereign princes who stand behind Osiris, who utterly do away with sins and crimes, and who are in the following of the goddess Hetep Sekes. Grant that I may come unto you, destroy ye all the faults which are within me, even as ye did for the 7 Khus who are among the followers of their Lord Sepa. Anubis appointed their place on the day when was said, Come therefore thither. When then is this? These lords of right and truth are Thoth and Astes, the lord of Amentet, the sovereign princes who stand behind Osiris, even Mestha, Hapi, Tuamatef, and Quebhsennuf are they who are behind the thigh in the northern sky. Now those who do utterly away with sins and crimes, and who are in the following of Hetep Sekes, are the god Sebek, who dwelleth in the water. The goddess Hetep Sekes is the eye of Ra, or as others say, it is the flame which followeth after Osiris to burn up the souls of his enemies. As concerning all the faults which are in Osiris, the scribe of the offerings of all the gods, Ani, triumphant, this is all that he hath done against the lords of eternity since he came forth from his mother's womb. As concerning the 7 Khus, even Meshtha, Hapi, Tuamautef, Quebhsennuf, Meatef, Keri Bekf, and Heru Kenti on Maati, Anubis appointed them to be protectors of the dead body of Osiris, or as others say, set them behind the place of purification of Osiris, or as others say, those 7 Khus are Netche, Netche, Aaqquet, and Nerta, Nef, Besef, Kenti, F, Aker, Ami, Anut, F, Tesher, Maati, Ami, Het, Anas, Ubis, Ra, Per, M, Ket, and Me, Ker, An, F, M, Pru. The chief of the sovereign princes who are in Ne'arat F is Horus, the avenger of his father. As concerning the day upon which was said, Come therefore thither, it referreth to the words, Come then thither, which Ra spake unto Osiris. Lo, may this be said unto me in Amentet, I am the divine soul which dwelleth in the 2 divine Tchafi. What then is this? It is Osiris when he goeth into Tatu, and findeth there the soul of Ra. There the one god embraceth the other, and divine souls spring into being within the 2 divine Tchafi. As concerning the 2 divine Chafi, they are Heru Netch, Bra Te'ef, and Heru Kent Maati, or as others say, the double divine soul which dwelleth in the 2 divine Tchafi is the soul of Ra and the soul of Osiris, or as others say, it is the soul which dwelleth in Shu, the soul which dwelleth in Tefnut, and these are the double divine soul which dwelleth in Tatu. I am the cat which fought hard by the Persea tree in Anu, Heliopolis, on the night when the foes of Neber-cher were destroyed. Who then is this? The male cat is Ra himself, and he is called Mau by reason of his speech of the god Sa, who said concerning him, He is like Mau unto that which he hath made. Thus his name became Maau, or as others say, it is the god Shu who maketh over the possessions of Seb to Osiris. As concerning the fight hard by the Persea tree in Anu, it concerneth the children of impotent revolt, when justice is wrought on them for what they have done. As concerning the night of the battle, these words refer to the inroad of the children of impotent revolt into the eastern part of heaven, whereupon there arose a battle in heaven and in all the earth. O thou who art in thine egg, Ra, who shinest from thy disk, and risest in thy horizon, and dost shine like gold above the sky, like unto whom there is none among the gods, who sailest over the pillars of Shu in the ether, who givest blasts of fire from thy mouth, who makest the 2 lands bright with thy radiance, deliver thou the pious Neb-Seni from the god whose form is hidden, whose eyebrows are like unto the 2 arms of the balance on the night of reckoning destruction. Who then is this? It is Eneaf, that is the god who bringeth his arm. As concerning the night of reckoning destruction, it is the night of the burning of the damned, and of the overthrow of wicked at the block, and of the slaughter of souls. Who then is this? It is Nemu, the headsman of Osiris, who, or as others say, it is Apep, when he riseth up with one head, bearing Maat, right and truth, upon it, or as others say, it is Horus, when he riseth up with a double head, whereof the one beareth right and truth, and the other wickedness. He bestoweth wickedness on him that worketh wickedness and right and truth upon him that followeth righteousness and truth. Or as others say, it is Horus the Great, who dwelleth in Sechem, Letopolis. Or as others say, it is Thoth. Or as others say, it is Nefertem. Or as others say, it is Sept, who doth thwart the acts of the foes of Neber-Chur. Deliver thou the scribe Nebseni, victorious, from the watchers who bear slaughtering knives, and who have cruel fingers, and who slay those who are in the following of Osiris. May they never gain the mastery over me. May I never fall under their knives. What then is this? It is Anubis, and it is Horus in the form of Kent an Maati. Or as others say, it is the sovereign princes who thwart the works of their weapons. Or as others say, it is the chiefs of the Shenniu chamber. May their knives never gain the mastery over me. May I never fall under their instruments of cruelty. For I know their names, and I know the being Matchet, who is among them in the house of Osiris, shooting rays of light from his eye, but who himself is unseen. He goeth round about heaven, robed in the flame of his mouth, commanding Hapi, but remaining himself unseen. May I be strong upon earth before Ra. May I come happily into haven in the presence of Osiris. Let not your offerings be wanting to me, O ye who preside over your altars, for I am among those who follow after Neber-Chur, according to the writings of Khepera. I fly as a hawk, I cackle as a goose, I ever slay, even as the serpent goddess Neheb-Ka. What then is this? Those who preside over their altars are the similitude of the eye of Ra, and the similitude of the eye of Horus. O Ra, Tem, thou Lord of the great house, thou sovereign, life, strength, and health of all the gods, deliver thou the scribe Nebseni, victorious, from the god whose face is like unto that of a greyhound, whose brows are as those of a man, and who feedeth upon the dead, who watcheth at the bite of the lake of fire, and who devoureth the bodies of the dead, and swalloweth hearts, and who shooteth forth filth, but he himself remaineth unseen. Who then is this? Devourer, for millions of years is his name, and he liveth in the Aat. As concerning the Aat, it is that which is in An Rut F, hard by the Shen-Iu chamber. The unclean man who would walk thereover doth fall down among the knives. Or as others say, his name is Mates, and he is the watcher of the door of Amentet. Or as others say, his name is Biba, and it is he who watcheth the bite of Amentet. Or as others say, Hari Sep F is his name. Hail, Lord of Terror, chief of the lands of the north and south, thou Lord of the red glow, or red lands, who preparest the slaughter block, and who dost feed upon the inward parts. Who then is this? The guardian of the bite of Amentet. What then is this? It is the heart of Osiris, which is the devourer of all slaughtered things. The Ureret crown hath been given unto him with gladness of heart, as Lord of Suten-Henen, Heracleopolis Magna. What then is this? He to whom hath been given the Ureret crown with gladness of heart, as Lord of Suten-Henen, is Osiris. He was bidden to rule among the gods on the day of the union of earth, in the presence of Neber-Chur. What then is this? He that was bidden to rule among the gods is Horus, the son of Isis, who was appointed to rule in the place of his father Osiris. As concerning the day of the union of earth with earth, it is the mingling of earth with earth in the coffin of Osiris, the soul that liveth in Suten-Henen, the giver of meat and drink, the destroyer of wrong, and the guide of the everlasting paths. Who then is this? It is Ra himself. Deliver thou the Osiris Nebseni, victorious. From the great God who carrieth away the soul, who eateth hearts, and who feedeth upon offal, the guardian of the darkness, the dweller in the Seker boat, those who live in crime, fear him. Who then is this? It is Suti, or as others say, it is Smam-Ur, the soul of Seb. Hail, Khepera, in thy boat, the twofold company of the gods is thy body. Deliver thou Osiris Ani, victorious, from the watchers who give judgment, who have been appointed by the god Neber-Chur to protect him and to fasten the fetters on his foes, and who slaughter in the shambles. There is no escape from their grasp. May they never stab me with their knives. May I never fall helpless into their chambers of torture. Never have the things which the gods hate been done by me, for I am pure within the Mesket. Cakes of saffron have been brought unto him in Tananet. Who then is this? It is Khepera in his boat. It is Ra himself. As concerning the watchers who give judgment, they are the apes, Isis and Nephthys. As concerning the things which are abominated by the gods, they are wickedness and falsehood. And he who passeth through the place of purification within the Mesket is Ampu Anubis, who is behind the chest which containeth the inward parts of Osiris. He to whom saffron cakes have been brought in Tananet is Osiris. Or as others say, the saffron cakes in Tananet are heaven and earth. Or as others say, they are Shu, strengthener of the two lands in Sutton Henan, Heracleopolis Magna. The saffron cakes are the eye of Horus. The Tananet is the burial place of Osiris. Tem hath built thy house, and the double lion god hath founded thy habitation. Lo, drugs are brought, and Horus purifieth, and Set strengtheneth, and Set purifieth, and Horus strengtheneth. The Osiris, the scribe Ani, victorious before Osiris, hath come into the land, and he hath taken possession thereof with his 2 feet. He is Tem, and he is in the city. Turn thou back, O Rehu, whose mouth shineth, whose head moveth. Turn thou back from before his strength, or, as others say, turn thou back from him who keepeth watch and is unseen. The Osiris Ani is safely guarded. He is Isis, and he is found with her hair spread over him. I shake it out over his brow. He was conceived in Isis and begotten in Nephthys, and they cut off from him the things which should be cut off. Fear followeth after thee, terror is upon thine arms. Thou hast been embraced for millions of years by the arms of the nations. Mortals go round about thee. Thou smitest down the mediators of thy foes, and thou seizest the arms of the powers of darkness. The 2 sisters, Isis and Nephthys, are given to thee for thy delight. Thou hast created that which is in Kher Abba, and that which is in Anu, Heliopolis. Every god feareth thee, for thou art exceeding great and terrible. Thou avengest every god on the man that curseth him, and thou shootest out arrows. Thou livest according to thy will. Thou art Uatchet, the lady of flame. Evil cometh among those who set themselves up against thee. What then is this? Hidden in form, granted of Menhu is the name of the tomb. He seeth what is on his hand is the name of Querau, or as others say, the name of the block. Now he whose mouth shineth and whose head moveth is the member of Osiris, or as others say, of Ra. Thou spreadest thy hair and shake it out over his brow is spoken concerning Isis, who hideth in her hair and draweth her hair over her. Uatchet, the lady of flames, is the eye of Ra. Chapter 18. Introduction. Vignette. Upper register. The priest on Mount F, who wears a leopard skin and has on the right side of his head the lock of hair of Heru Pa Krat, Harpocrates, introducing Ani and his wife to the gods. Text. The speech of Samar F. I have come unto you, O great and godlike sovereign rulers, who dwell in heaven and in earth and in the underworld, and I have brought unto you Osiris Ani. He hath not sinned against any of the gods. Grant ye that he may be with you all the time. Ani's speech. The adoration of Osiris, the lord of Re-stau, and of the great company of the gods who dwell in the underworld, by Osiris the scribe Ani, who saith, Homage to thee, O thou ruler of Amentet, Un Nefer in Abtu Abydos. I have come unto thee, and my heart beholdeth right and truth. There is no sin in my body, nor have I lied wittingly, nor have I done aught with a false heart. Grant thou to me food in the tomb, and that I may come forth into thy presence at the altar of the lords of right and truth, and that I may enter into and come forth from the underworld, and that my soul be not turned back, and that I may behold the face of the sun, and that I may behold the moon for ever and for ever. Vignette. The priest Sa-mer-F, who wears a leopard skin and has on the right side of his head the lock of hair of Heru Pa Krat, Harpocrates, introducing Ani and his wife to the gods. Text. The speech of Sa-mer-F. I have come unto you, O sovereign princes, who dwell in Re-stau, and I have brought unto you Osiris Ani. Grant ye to him, as to the followers of Horus, cakes and water and air, and a homestead in Sekhet Hetep. Ani's speech. The adoration of Osiris, Lord of everlastingness, and of the sovereign princes, the lords of Restau, by Osiris, the scribe Ani, who saith: Homage to thee, O King of the underworld, thou governor of Akert. I have come unto thee, I know thy ways, and I am furnished with the forms which thou takest in the underworld. Grant thou to me a place in the underworld, near unto the lords of right and truth. May my homestead be abiding in Sekhet Hetep, and I may receive cakes in thy presence. Chapter 18. Vignettes. A pylon surmounted by feathers, typical of Maat, and by uraei wearing discs, and a pylon surmounted by Anpu, Anubis, or Apuat, and by an Utchat. Text. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris victorious over his enemies, make thou the scribe Nebseni to be victorious over his enemies, as thou didst make Osiris victorious over his enemies, in the presence of the sovereign princes who are with Ra and Osiris in Anu, Heliopolis, on the night of the things of the night, and on the night of the battle, and on the night of the shackling of the Sabal fiends, and on the day of the destruction of Neber-chur. Vignette. The gods Tem, Shu, Tefnut, Osiris, and Thoth. Text. The great sovereign princes in Anu are Tem, Shu, Tefnut, Osiris, and Thoth, and the shackling of the Sabal fiends signifieth the destruction of the fiends of Set, when a second time he worketh evil. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris victorious over his enemies, make thou the Osiris Ani to be victorious over his enemies, in the presence of the great and sovereign princes who are in Tatu, on the night of making the Tet to stand up in Tatu. Vignette. The gods Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and Horus. Text. The great sovereign princes in Tatu are Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and Heru, Nech, Ra, Tef. Now the night of making the Tet to stand up in Tatu signifieth the lifting up of the arm and shoulder of Horus, who dwelleth in Sechem, Letopolis, and these gods stand behind Osiris to protect him, even as do the swathings which clothe him. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris victorious over his enemies, make thou Osiris Ani triumph over his enemies, in the presence of the sovereign princes who are in Sechem, Letopolis, on the night of the things of the night festival in Sechem. Vignette. The gods Osiris and Horus, the two Utchats upon pylons, and the god Thoth. Text. The great sovereign princes who are in Sechem are Heru, Khenti, An-Maati, and Thoth, who is with the sovereign princes in Nerarut-F. Now the night of the things of the night festival in Sechem signifieth the light of the rising sun on the coffin of Osiris. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris victorious over his enemies, make thou the Osiris Ani triumph over his enemies, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Pet and in Tept, and on the night of setting up the columns of Horus, and of making him to be established as the heir of the things which belong to his father Osiris. Vignette. The gods Horus, Isis, Mestha, and Nephthys. Text. The great sovereign princes who are in Pet and Tept are Horus, Isis, Mestha, and Hapi. Now setting up the columns of Horus signifieth the command given by Set unto his followers: set up columns upon it. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris victorious over his enemies, make thou the Osiris Ani triumphant in peace, victorious over his enemies, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in the lands of Rekhti, on the night when Isis lay down to keep watch, in order to make lamentation for her brother Osiris. Vignette. The gods Isis, Horus, Anpu, Anubis, Mestha, and Thoth. Text. The great sovereign princes who are in the lands of Rekhti are Isis, Horus, Anubis, Mestha, and Thoth. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris victorious over his enemies, make thou Osiris the scribe Ani triumphant in peace, to be victorious over his enemies, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Abtu, Abydos, on the night of the god Haker, at the separation of the wicked dead, at the judgment of the Khus, and at the rising up of joy in Teni. This. Vignette. The gods Osiris, Isis, and Apuat, and the Tet. Text. The great sovereign princes who are in Abtu are Osiris, Isis, and Apuat. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris victorious over his enemies, make thou Osiris Ani, the scribe and teller of the sacred offerings of all the gods, to be victorious over his enemies in the presence of the sovereign princes who judge the dead on the night of the carrying out of the sentence upon those who are to die. Vignette: the gods Thoth, Osiris, Anpu, Anubis, and Astenu. Text: the great sovereign princes in the judgment of the dead are Thoth, Osiris, Anubis, and Astenu. Now the carrying out of the sentence upon those who are to die is the withholding of that which is so needful to the souls of the children of impotent revolt. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris victorious over his enemies, make thou Osiris the scribe Ani to be victorious over his enemies in the presence of the great sovereign princes on the festival of the breaking and turning up of the earth in Tatu, on the night of the breaking and turning up of the earth in their blood, and of making Osiris to be victorious over his enemies. Vignette: the three gods of the festival of breaking up the earth in Tatu. Text: when the fiends of Set come and change themselves into beasts, the great sovereign princes on the festival of the breaking and turning up of the earth in Tatu slay them in the presence of the gods therein, and their blood floweth among them as they are smitten down. These things are allowed to be done by them by the judgment of those who are in Tatu. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris to triumph over his enemies, make thou the Osiris Ani to be victorious over his enemies in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Nerarut F on the night of him who concealeth himself in divers forms, even Osiris. Vignette: the gods Ra, Osiris, Shu, and Bebi, who is dog-headed. Text: the great sovereign princes who are in Na'ararut F are Ra, Osiris, Shu, and Bebi. Now the night of him who concealeth himself in divers forms, even Osiris, is when the thigh and the head and the heel and the leg are brought nigh unto the coffin of Osiris Un-Nefer. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris to triumph over his enemies, make thou Osiris Ani to be victorious over his enemies in the presence of the great sovereign princes in Re Stau on the night when Anubis lay with his arms and his hands over the things behind Osiris, and when Horus was made to triumph over his enemies. Vignette: the gods Horus, Osiris, Isis, and text: the great sovereign princes in Re Stau are Horus, Osiris, and Isis. The heart of Osiris rejoiceth, and the heart of Horus, and therefore are the northern and southern parts of heaven at peace. Hail, Thoth, who madest Osiris victorious over his enemies, make thou Osiris Ani, the scribe and teller of the divine offerings of all the gods, to triumph over his enemies in the presence of the 10 companies of great sovereign princes, who are with Ra and with Osiris and with every god and goddess in the presence of Neb-er-tcher. He hath destroyed his enemies, and he hath destroyed every evil thing belonging unto him. Rubric: this chapter being recited, the deceased shall come forth by day, purified after death, and he shall make all the transformations which his heart shall dictate. Now if this chapter be recited over him, he shall come forth upon earth, he shall escape from every fire, and none of the foul things which appertain unto him shall encompass him for eternity or for ever and ever. Chapter 19. Vignette: the chapter is without a vignette. Text: the chapter of the chaplet of victory. Osiris Auf Ankh, victorious, born of Sheret Amsu, victorious, saith: Thy father Tem hath woven for thee a beautiful chaplet of victory to be placed on thy living brow, O thou who lovest the gods, and thou shalt live for ever. Osiris Kent Amentet hath made thee to triumph over thine enemies, and thy father Seb hath decreed for thee all his inheritance. Come therefore, O Horus, son of Isis, for thou, O son of Osiris, sittest upon the throne of thy father Ra, to overthrow thine enemies, for he hath ordained for thee the 2 lands to their utmost limits. Atem hath also ordained this, and the company of the gods hath confirmed the splendid power of the victory of Horus, the son of Isis and the son of Osiris, for ever and for ever. And Osiris Auf Ankh shall be victorious for ever and ever. O Osiris Kent Amentet, the whole of the northern and southern parts of the heavens, and every god and every goddess who are in heaven, and who are upon earth, will the victory of Horus, the son of Isis and the son of Osiris, over his enemies in the presence of Osiris Khent Amentet, who will make Osiris Auf Ankh victorious to triumph over his enemies in the presence of Osiris Khent Amentet, on Nefer and the son of Nut, on the day of making him to triumph over Set and his fiends in the presence of the great sovereign chiefs who are in Anu Heliopolis. On the night of the battle and overthrow of the Seba fiend in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Abtu, on the night of making Osiris to triumph over his enemies, make thou Osiris Auf Ankh triumphant to triumph over his enemies in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in the horizon of Amentet, and on the day of the festival of Haker in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Tatu, on the night of the setting up of the Tet in Tatu, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are on the ways of the damned, on the night of the judgment of those who shall be annihilated, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Sekhem Letopolis, and on the night of the things of the altars in Sekhem, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Pe and Tept, on the night of the establishing of the inheriting by Horus of the things of his father Osiris, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are at the great festival of the ploughing and turning up of the earth in Tatu, or as others say in Abtu, on the night of the weighing of words, or as others say weighing of locks, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Anrut F on its place, on the night when Horus receiveth the birth chamber of the gods, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in the lands of Rekhti, on the night when Isis lieth down to watch and to make lamentation for her brother, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Re Stau, on the night of making Osiris to triumph over all his enemies. Horus repeated these words 4 times, and all his enemies fell headlong, and were overthrown, and were cut to pieces. And Osiris Auf Ankh, triumphant, repeated these words 4 times. Therefore let all his enemies fall headlong, and be overthrown, and cut to pieces. Horus, the son of Isis and son of Osiris, celebrated in turn millions of festivals, and all his enemies fell headlong, and were overthrown, and cut to pieces. Their habitation hath gone forth to the block of the east. Their heads have been cut off, their necks have been destroyed, their thighs have been cut off. They have been given over to the great destroyer, who dwelleth in the valley of the grave, and they shall never come forth from under the restraint of the god Seb. Rubric: this chapter shall be recited over the divine chaplet which is laid upon the face of the deceased, and thou shalt cast incense into the fire on behalf of Osiris Auf Ankh, triumphant, born of Sheret Amsu, triumphant. Thus shalt thou cause him to triumph over his enemies, dead or alive, and he shall be among the followers of Osiris, and a hand shall be stretched out to him with meat and drink in the presence of the god. This chapter shall be said by thee twice at dawn. Now it is a never failing charm, regularly and continually. Chapter 20. Vignette. This chapter in the Theban version has neither vignette nor title. Text: Hail Thoth, who didst make Osiris to triumph over his enemies, snare thou the enemies of Osiris, the scribe Nebseni, the lord of piety, in the presence of the great sovereign princes of every god and every goddess, in the presence of the great sovereign princes who are in Anu Heliopolis, on the night of the battle and of the overthrow of the Sabao fiend in Tatu, on the night of making to stand up the double Tet in Sekhem Letopolis, on the night of the things of the night in Sekhem in Pe and in Tepu, on the night of the establishing of Horus in the heritage of the things of his father in the double land of Rekhti, on the night when Isis maketh lamentation at the sight of her brother Osiris in Abtu Abydos, on the night of the Haker festival of the distinguishing between the dead, the damned, and the Khus on the path of the dead, the damned, on the night of the judgment of those who are to be annihilated, at the great festival of the ploughing and the turning up of the earth in Nararut F in Restau, and on the night of making Horus to triumph over his enemies. Horus is mighty, the northern and southern halves of heaven rejoice. Osiris is content thereat, and his heart is glad. Hail Thoth, make thou to triumph Osiris, the scribe Nebseni, over his enemies, in the presence of the sovereign princes of every god and every goddess, and in the presence of you, ye sovereign princes, who pass judgment on Osiris behind the shrine. In the Saito recension this chapter has no vignette, but it has the title, Another Chapter of the chaplet of victory, and is arranged in tabular form. The words Hail Thoth, make Osiris Auf Ankh triumphant, to triumph over his enemies, even as thou didst make Osiris to triumph over his enemies, which are written in 2 horizontal lines, are to be repeated before each column of text. The great sovereign princes invoked are those of Anu, Heliopolis, Tatu, Sekhem, Letopolis, Pe, and Tep, and Arut F, the double land of Rekti, Restau, Abtu, the paths of the dead, the ploughing festival in Tatu, Keraba, Osiris, heaven and earth, every god and every goddess. The rubric reads, if this chapter be recited regularly and always by a man who hath purified himself in water of natron, he shall come forth by day, after he hath come into port, that is dead, and he shall perform all the transformations which his heart shall dictate, and he shall come forth from every fire. End of chapter 17 through 20.